Welcome to another edition of the Paranormal News Hour. How are we all doing today? It's been a great day, hasn't it? Welcome again to the Paranormal News Hour. We are live tonight from haunted downtown Lawrence at the James R. Ross Memorial Studios, which also has paranormal activity. Before we get started, though, I do have a couple of quick announcements to make. We are going to have somebody on tonight, 2 people calling in tonight. The first person will be calling in about 10 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes. He does astrology, works with numbers, and pretty interesting fella. So he'll be coming on tonight. His name is Patrick Flaherty. Cannot wait to have him on tonight. And then our second guest will be calling in. She's an animal communicator, a Reiki healer, an RN, and does many different things of healing people. Patty Anastasia. So she'll be calling in too. That's our second guest. So it's been an interesting year. I mean, we're just finishing up the first month of the year, January, and it's been a very busy January. Not so much in the paranormal, but in the real world. I guess you could say the paranormal is the real world, so in the second real world. But as we start gearing up for the on-season, if you want to call it seasonal, because of the wonderful New England weather we've been having, not only do we have a Parafest coming up, we'll be doing our Trails and Sales events all over again. And we'll go from there and see where it goes. It's going to be a real interesting, exciting time for everybody, including me. And including the rest of the team. We're going to have a fun year this year. I cannot wait. And what we're going to be doing this year is a lot of different things. We'll be back at the Haunted Garrison House, Haunted Hilldale, and we're going to be adding a few haunted locations for sure. In southern New Hampshire, Seacoast, and beyond. So keep an eye out for that because we will be doing a lot of great fundraising this year. We're having some issues here. I try to do 2 things at once, 3 things at once, and sometimes it doesn't pan out, especially when the spirit world doesn't want it to pan out. But we'll see what happens. We're waiting on I'm waiting on my phone callers to come in, and we're going to get started. But I do have to say, it's been an exciting time here in the paranormal this winter. There's been some very exciting things. Did you guys see those news this week? Those electric cars that burn all the time, they catch on fire. They're very expensive. Someone drove to a cemetery at night and their cameras picked up spirits. That was interesting. Tesla, that's what the car was called. I knew it would come to me eventually. Tesla. I just got a message of talking soft. I'm talking soft because I can actually hear my voice reverbing in here. I'm hoping it's not going out on the station. It's kind of funny that it's doing this. It's got to be paranormal related. And Mike, sorry your eyes are hurting you, but I don't have any other way of adjusting. Well, we have Patrick coming on. Patrick, welcome to the Paranormal News Hour. How are we doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. So, you have a very interesting talent. We have interviewed a lot of different people, and I've interviewed a lot of different people through the years on this show and on another show in another public access station. And this is the first time we're going to be interviewing somebody who has the talents that you have. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm honored. I'm the first astrologer that you've
had on.
Interviewed.
Yes.
Great.
Yes. Now, why don't you let the public know what you do? Because, there's a lot of different parts of astrology out there. So Some people think
Sure.
astrology just stares at the stars and that's it, but you do something a lot different, and it's very mathematically inclined. So I'm going to let you explain it, because mathematics was never my forte, as I told you earlier.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll get too deep into the mathematics. I mean, I had talent for math, since childhood, so that part of it came easy to me. And you can be an astrologer without the math these days. I mean, 50 years ago, they had to do their own charts, and that was very complicated. But now, of course, you can have a computer program do them. So, I think there's a lot of great astrologers out there that are just really bad at math, and they don't let it bother them. But yeah, I mean, basically, I've been reading people's charts for a few years, and there's two things people want to know when they come in for a chart reading. If you read the natal chart, which is their birth chart, set for their birthday and their where they were, the city where they were born, and you do need the correct time for that to get the best chart. If so, you need to figure out what time you were born. Hopefully, you've got that information. And that gives insight into their character, and not just their character, but sort of their life path, or their even their mission in life. Like, what is it that they came here to work on? You're going to find that in the natal chart, through just looking at different relationships between different planets. Different planets will mean different things, and you kind of put that together between the planets and the houses and the signs, and it's it is fairly complex. And then the second thing people want to know is, like, what's going to happen in the future, or what what's going on now, and is it going to keep happening, or is it going to resolve? I mean, usually if people call in for a reading, they've got something going on, that's bothering them, and so you'll see that in the chart. So what we do is we have their natal chart, and then you put the planets as they are in the present on top of their natal chart, and you can, from that, divine what might be going on for them. Certainly you can hone in on at least something's going on with their job, or something's going on with their house, or something's going on with their kids. I mean, you can get at least a general idea, or certain issues that are coming up. So those are the two things people want to find out. I mean, there are other uses for astrology. There's medical astrology. I do not do that. I think it's very fascinating, though. And back in the day, centuries ago, medical doctors used astrology. And herbs, and the herbs would bear the signature of different planets. So, if you're having a problem they would see in the chart, with Saturn or Mars, there were certain herbs that were related to those planets. It's called the law of correspondences. So, everything has a correspondence. You can also have a chart done. Say you want to start a business, you can call up an astrologer and find out some good dates to start the business. I don't do that one as well. I've thought of getting into it, but that's a good one. And another one is horary, where you can simply ask a question of an astrologer, and they cast a chart for the moment and get the answer. So there's a lot of different uses, but the two main ones are, what does my natal chart say about my character and what my life purpose is, and then what's going on now, or what does my next year or two look like? What do I got to watch out for? And so that's what I talk to people about. And I enjoy getting into it, especially when people can be open about what's going on in their lives and getting into stuff.
So, how many people ask you this question? I know I've had psychics on my shows. I've had ufologists on my shows, but I've never actually, So the question that psychics get all the time, especially when it's that time of year again and the lottery's popping up, do you ever get the call of, can you give me the winning numbers?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, I mean, if I could do that, I'd be retired,
Right, exactly. But no, I just had to throw that one out there because every psychic I've ever interviewed says the same thing. The other call they get is not just relationship, business, kind of like you, the same thing, relationship, work, what's going on my next year or so. But they all get, when the lottery gets big, it's call this local psychic up and ask them what the winning numbers are.
Yeah, luckily I haven't gotten any of those yet.
Well, that's good. So I know you said we have a mutual friend in common who's going to be doing this show with me, Angie Donju. She's just out on assignment tonight. I believe, tonight they're at a hockey game. Out on assignment in Pennsylvania on vacation, but they're doing some work out there, but she'll be back next month with me. I know you're doing, like me, I do the third Thursday of every month. We'll get into that later on because this is all about you. Third Friday, what do you do? You're going to be up at the same Awakening Moment Center once a month or twice a month in Raymond, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And you can find the schedule on meetup.com at Awakening Moments. And I think I'm on the second Friday, if I'm not mistaken, right now of every month. And I've been doing a series on astrology. And, we just started with the big three, which is your sun and your moon and your ascendant. And then we've been going through the planets and the zodiac. And, I've got a nice little core group that are really into learning more about it. And what I try to do in the class, I have everyone bring in their chart. And usually, you can find apps that'll give you your chart, or, people generally, they'll have their chart on their phone. And so say we're learning about Mars, Mercury, and Venus, was last class. And we'll, if the class isn't too big and we have, time, we'll go over it for every single person in the class. And, okay, where's your Mars? Where's your Mars? And, what does it mean? And it's been really fun. I think people are, really enjoying it because they walk out knowing more about their own chart.
Well, that I think is very important, actually. It's very important.
Yeah.
When people go to those type of events, and it doesn't matter where you're at, but that they actually learn something. They're there to learn, and that's what they come to do. They want to learn, and you're a good teacher, so you're teaching them.
Yeah, and, Angie said, Angie's been in this sort of field for a long time, and, she's been around a lot of astrologers, and she said, for the first time in my classes, she feels like she's really getting it. So there's, which is gratifying for me, because I do want, if I'm giving them a reading or if I'm teaching a class, I do want people to actually walk away with something useful that they learned, or, I wouldn't feel good about charging for what I do otherwise, So I put some thought into that. I've got a lot of earth in my chart, so that means I want it to be practical.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do read a lot of astrology. I do, because I just like to keep up with other astrologers and what, and sometimes it gets so complicated, and and I just think, let's keep it simple and try to have people come away with one thing that's useful, instead of just overwhelming them with all this information. So that's kind of where I'm at.
And it's easy to overwhelm with information, especially a lot of information, especially on chats and psychic, when you go do a psychic reading or when you're trying to teach that stuff. It's real easy to overload information because you enjoy what you're doing. You want to make sure they're enjoying the same experience as you as you're talking about it. So it's real easy to overload the public or the participants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Well, that's all good.
And
so you mentioned. So you mentioned some planets, and then you didn't mention other planets. So what are the top 3 planets that you come across? There's got to be at least something up there.
What are the top 3 planets?
Yeah.
Well, I think for as far as like what, if you want to learn about your chart, most people know their sun sign because you pretty much just have to know your birthday. So most people know their sun sign. So if they learn their moon sign and then the ascendant, or what's called the rising sign, that really rounds it out. People say, "Oh, I am a Capricorn, I am a Scorpio," and I say, not exactly. Your sun is in Capricorn. Your sun is in Scorpio. Yes, it's an important planet, but if people knew their moon sign and their ascendant, even those 3, you don't have to be an astrologer just to know those 3.
Right.
And people would know so much more about their astrology and what makes them tick. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes people, they don't really identify with their sun sign. Like that was me, actually. And it might be because their moon sign is very strong or their rising sign is very strong. And that actually comes out more. So, when I kind of learned that about my chart, that helped me quite a bit because I'm a Capricorn sun, but I never felt that comfortable with it.
Right.
And then when I learned, okay, I got some Virgo and I got some Aquarius, and it's like, okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right about that.
Yeah.
So how long does it take to prepare a chart? Someone asked that question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Right now I'm putting like probably 90 minutes into it. I mean, I don't really set a timer out, but I'll kind of come to it, and then I'll come back to it a couple of times. But I would guess it's around 90 minutes. But yeah, basically, if you're getting, say you're reading for 60 minutes or 90 minutes, or even offer a 2-hour reading, you can probably bet that I spent the same amount of time preparing the chart, which is why, unfortunately, like astrology is more expensive than, say, getting a psychic reading or a tarot reading, because in general, a psychic or a tarot reader, they're not really doing any preparation before your reading. You just call up for the reading and it's on, But when you get your astrology reading, they've already put in an hour or 2 into the chart. Yeah, so it's I'm getting quicker.
But it's still time. Better. It's still time. And as you do this more, you will get quicker, but there's still time. I mean, and you got to do it right. So probably at least an hour every chat that you do.
Yeah. At least an hour at this point, because I like to just make sure
it's accurate.
And you kind of don't know, like you really need more information than you can probably talk about, because really it's about having a conversation with the client, and then they're going to start talking about stuff that, you couldn't have predicted. And then, you'll remember something. I'll remember something that, I was looking at in their chart. But so it's good to just really kind of overdo it and have a whole bunch of information in the chart, because you don't know where it's going to go. But like, I don't just like sit there and recite everything about their chart. Like it's more of like a counseling session or conversation, so that I make sure their concerns are getting met, because there was a reason why they asked for it. Like I said, there's a reason why people get a reading, something's going on. And I've had astrology readings that felt very impersonal, and they were accurate, but it just, I don't know, kind of left me feeling empty. Like, we didn't really connect, so, I'd try to connect with people.
Now, what's interesting is there's a lot of things out there. And this is the world that I'm not that familiar with. I did some research, obviously, before you came on air, but it's a very fascinating world. The only thing I know about me, I'll throw me out there, okay, is that I'm a dragon and a Gemini.
Okay. You're a Gemini, and what is the dragon from the Chinese astrology?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's an interesting combination. I don't know too much about the Chinese astrology, but
right. And I only know that because when you go to the Chinese food places, they have their charts there, and you can read them.
I remember that. Yeah, I'm a monkey. Yeah.
Oh, so I can eat Jep for food then, because dragons eat monkeys. Okay. Yeah.
I would guess dragons could eat just about anything.
But other than that, I don't know much about any, when it comes to that stuff. I don't really know a lot about that stuff. So it was a very fascinating conversation tonight. I think it opened up a lot. And that's not even rubbing the surface of that at this point.
Right.
And for the people out there that don't know, how many zodiac signs are out there? We're not going to get into all of them and whatnot tonight, but just a basic.
Well, there's 12 signs, one for each month. Though they don't start on the first of the month. They usually go from like the 21st or the 22nd. But yeah, there's 12 signs, and then there's we use about 10 planets. So you can already think of how many combinations there could be, because any one of those planets can be in any one of those signs.
Right.
The combinations are endless.
Wow. So there was a lot of there could be there's over 100 possibilities right there to start with if you.
Oh yeah, easily.
And that's
easily.
That's just the easy road out of it.
Yeah, well, actually, I calculated, I said with the sun, moon, and rising sign, so those are 3 signs, and you have 12 possibilities for each, there's 1,700 combinations of just those 3 signs.
Right.
1,700, so, or 3 planets, or, so extend that to 10 planets, and it's astronomical. Luckily, you don't have to memorize it all.
No, because that would be pretty tough. I mean, that's the other thing too, is a lot of this stuff when you're done somebody's reading or astrological reading, I'm sure you have to go back and do some homework afterwards. Double check a few things and stuff like that.
You're always you're always learning. I mean, it's a huge field, and you'll never learn as much as there is out there.
No.
But I try to keep it simple and practical. And yeah.
Well, that
because there are. Go ahead.
I've noticed that anything we do in life, whether it's what you do, a psychic, a Bigfoot researcher, paranormal investigator, ufologist, a cryptozoologist, when you're talking to the general public, when you're with your friends in that field, you can talk all the high language like I can with my friends in the paranormal, the crypto world. But when with the public, we got to almost dumb it down so they can understand what we're talking about. And in your field, that must be real tough to do.
Yeah, I've had kind of a learning curve on that because I first started on Facebook, writing about it. And, I got a lot of people really enjoying my writing, but they were all astrologers in their own right, So I had these, maybe they weren't practicing, but, I had a lot of people that knew a lot about astrology really liking my writing. But, at a certain point, and I had a friend of mine that kind of pointed it out to me. It's like, she couldn't follow it. And she said, I need to really break it down. So that's what I've been doing. And I've been doing that actually I started a podcast a couple of months ago and, just trying to get more basic. Like I was just listening to a podcast I just did on how to learn the 12 signs of the zodiac. And so, I'm just kind of working on that level of, learning the basics. And, hopefully I'm doing better with that. It's kind of hard with the podcast because you do it and I haven't had a lot of feedback yet as far as, how people are responding, but, it's pretty new.
Well, this is a very interesting subject, and I think we're going to have you back on so we can go a lot deeper into this subject and actually have you at the studio. And maybe
Sure.
we could do a little demonstration on, the proper way of starting a chart. Not go in depth because we don't want to, but this will show the public on what it takes to start, the very basics. And then they can follow you and get the rest of the information from you.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. Whatever you want to do. Yeah.
So, I think we're going to do that. I want to thank you for coming on tonight. This was a great conversation, a great starting conversation for this. And it opened up my eyes, and I know it opened up a lot of people who are watching live here at the James R. Ross Memorial Studios and who are watching live on my Facebook page. So I just want to thank you very much. We'll be talking real soon.
All right, Tom.
Have a good night.
Much for having me on.
Thank you. Yeah, not a problem. Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night. Bye-bye. Wow, was that incredible. That was a jaw dropper for me. A total jaw dropper. And a very interesting start of this great show to kick off the first month of the year. We started a little earlier than we normally do. I know we start around 6:30. We're doing 6 or 7 tonight, but you can still catch this live on Facebook. The next person I got coming on, we're going to give her a quick call. I wasn't sure how long we were going to keep guest number 1 on. I had some ideas, but I just wasn't sure. It's Patty Anastasia. Patty is a psychic, a medium, a Reiki background. Hi, Patty. You're on live. Give me 1 minute. Hi.
Hey, Tom. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How you doing? I was just giving out your bio, a little bit about yourself. Reiki, she's an animal communicator. And what else do you do since now you're on and people who are listening? We are live. Remember, we are live on Lawrence Community Access TV from the James R. Ross Memorial Studios, and we're live on my Facebook page. You're up.
Well, that's wonderful. I really appreciate you having me on, and hi, everybody out there. Thanks for hanging out. I am a pet and animal communicator and medium psychic, and I do and teach Reiki, and I provide medical intuition, which as a nurse and paramedic, I found that I had a knack for figuring out what was going on and being able to ask some questions. So that's been wonderful to bring in to my psychic business that I have now. And what I do, I've always talked with animals and spirits all my life, and I realized that most people didn't. I'm 58, so at that time, people thought that was kind of crazy. So I went into medicine instead of using my natural abilities. And so in 2015, I had a career-ending injury that basically forced me to really honor my psychic medium roots. I love to help people who are going through crisis, and also who have entities attached, are working or dealing with extraterrestrials that are a problem, space clearing, and help with the animals of the world. And ultimately, my goal is to connect with people to help heal Mother Earth. Lots needed there.
Yeah, Mother Earth is pretty damaged. Most of the psychics I know will tell you that, and you're not the first, you won't be the last, and there's a lot of healing that's going to have to take place at this point.
I'm having a little hard time hearing you, Tom. I
sorry
apologize.
about that. Nope, no worries. I'll speak up a little bit. What I said was a lot of different psychics I know have the same idea that the world, the Mother Earth, is crying and hurting, and we continue to hurt it every day. So we got to keep trying to. People like you need to try to keep healing Mother Earth.
Right, and what I have really found throughout everything is that when we heal our animals, we heal ourselves, and as a result, we heal the earth and the world. And so I think it was Gandhi that said, the statue of a nation, it can be seen by how they treat their animals. And I think that's probably true, really. And so that's my main goal right now, is to really help people to heal with their pets and the animals of the world. And, animals can get entities too. I don't know. And animals are mediums, and they're psychics, and they're just wonderful help guides and spirit guides. It's really an amazing relationship we can have.
I always have fun. I always have an interesting night when we have a case, when Essex County goes on a case, and there's animals involved, because the animals will help us locate the spirit quicker than some of our tools can. Yeah.
100%.
Just watching the cat.
They know.
Watch the cat, watch the dog, and it's just not those type of animals either, but those are the ones people deal with the most, your cats and your dogs. Growing up in Methuen, my grandfather had a lot of chickens. My mother always had chickens up until recently. And there was some activity in my backyard. No one's going to hide it. We talk about it talk about it on occasion. You'll watch the chickens every once in a while when they used to roam. They just skedaddle from one area, and it's an open part of the field. So there's not a fox hiding in the woods waiting to eat the chicken. Something else has spooked the chicken, and they're in the middle of an open field. So if the helicopter don't go by, the plane don't go by, or some guy goes, well, it's not, back in when I was a kid, it wasn't that bad, but blaring music like it is today, it's just bad out there.
Right.
There's something in the field. I mean, obviously, just by the chicken's reaction. So you just don't have to worry about, you can get reaction from the spirit world, I guess, from all sorts of animals. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, without a doubt. Our wild animals, our partially domesticated animals, like our farm animals, like the chickens and such, they really know energetic shifts and changes, whether that be caused by spirit energy, which many times it is, lots of different types of spirits, or even, Mother Earth starting to shift and change, like, weather shifts and, earthquakes and things of that nature. They know way before anybody else, even our plants as well.
Mm-hmm.
They know. When a tree is about to fall in the woods, it's silent.
Right.
Everybody's gone because they all know.
They all know it's coming down.
Yeah, they can communicate on that energetic level of they're all psychics, you could say. And I call it a universal language. Everybody speaks it when we were infants. We just forgot when we started to write and talk verbally, because that's how we started to communicate. So, but our animals and our psychics and mediums and plants, they all still communicate through images and emotions, say. They feel and see what's going on. And if we could really listen to our animals all over the world, they would actually really show us where the problems are and the solutions.
Mm-hmm. Just like I just had somebody on right before you, and he's into reading astrological charts, and a very interesting fella.
Love it.
Have him back on soon. But very interesting, nice guy, seemed very nice, very knowledgeable. And I was talking to him earlier, like I was talking to you on the phone earlier, gearing up for the show. And, like I told him, I didn't tell you, but I'm going to say it right now. It's like we all live in a circle of life. And I'm not trying to steal the famous Elton John song, but life is a circle.
Yeah.
That's what it really is. And no matter if you do charts, you're a reader, it doesn't matter. It's one circle. And how we get to the end of the circle, when it's the time for the circle to break, no one can really tell you that. But we all feed off of each other.
Good perspective. I like that. For sure. I've always thought we're all saying the same thing. We're just using a different language, different words.
Yeah, different language, different beliefs. We have cultures today that are modern just like ours here in the United States. We have parts of the United States where they're more of an agrarian culture that have different beliefs in what we do. You'll have a psychic that lives in an agrarian culture that may be a little different than what you pick up, because it's the way what they were living in around and being trained like. And then you have cultures in Bolivia that we don't even know about. My favorite one is not even in Bolivia. They know nothing about this culture at all. It's called the Sentinel people, or the Sentinels. Look them up. It's a small island off of India. If you're caught there, you don't come home.
Oh my goodness.
You just don't come home. An American went out there a couple of years ago after the Indian government. There's a 3-mile nautical radius around the island that you're not supposed to break. He got into the 3-mile nautical radius to spread religion to these people.
I'm thinking they didn't want that.
No. They killed him. They killed him and left him on the beach, and no one can go pick up the kid.
Oh my goodness.
It only happened once in the 80s where they allowed somebody on the island, and it was years after that the British government was giving food to these people and stuff. And they finally trusted a lady, not even a guy, a woman, to go on. And that's the last time somebody from the Western world went onto that culture.
How interesting.
But it's an interesting and that's what we have here. We have cultural beliefs, we have cultural standards. And it's real interesting what we pick up when we go into a house. When you go into, especially you that is the psychic, I just channel. I don't believe I have many psychic. I can sense things once in a while, but certainly not a psychic. I will never call myself a psychic. But at the same token, it's kind of odd when you go into a an older house. We went into one in the Sandown Triangle, and it was quite an interesting night, when it was all said and done. We had babies in 2 wells.
Wow. It's amazing how they talk. I mean, they hang out, It's amazing. Over at the Nest in Plastow, I've been working with them for several years doing clearing and healing. There's been a lot of different entities there, children along with, everything from just those wounded souls to, that psychopath energy that just is so damaging, and causes all kinds of havoc, fires and floods and, my goodness, injuries. It's amazing, really, how entities can affect that are not in their physical world anymore can really affect this physical world and do damage.
Right. No, it is, especially you brought up that location, and it's a very interesting location because, as you know, there are train tracks right near that location, not too far. And that is actually in the Dustin Angle. It's an area, a flap area, or like the Bridgewater Bermuda Triangle thing, and I will discuss this another time. But that goes right along the tracks where there's been a lot of interesting stuff from downtown Havel and further south even, or right up all the way through Portsmouth, and if I dug deeper enough, probably right through the state of Maine on those tracks. The Sandown Triangle is in that area. So, I mean, it's quite an interesting area as a whole.
Boy, it's got some major portals that we still, there's a lot of maintenance work to be done there all the time to make sure we keep it clear and high vibrational, so to speak, However, things arise. It's pretty amazing. Getting ready to go back in to do some more clearing there. I love the place. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. They've just done so much. Love the going playing pool and listening to the music, and it's always funny whenever I walk in there. I connect with somebody right away, some kind of a spirit entity, depending upon who it is. Usually, a lot of times when people go in with the entities attached to them, they stay. Because they like it there. So that's why the maintenance, has to keep, you have to keep crossing these spirits, and sometimes they don't want to go.
So that place is like the, and we'll make a little satire out of this if you don't mind. I think I've known you.
Go for it.
So that place is almost like the holding tank that the Ghostbusters use.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, yes, I call it the train station, like you could even think of it, the train station in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like you walk in and you're like, oh my God, I'm in a different world. It's so funny.
Yeah, no, that's another way I guess you could put it too. I'm not the Harry Potter person, but I kind of get I was never a Harry Potter. I'm more the, when it comes to that stuff, I'm more the Lord of the Rings guy.
Oh, I like it short. You know what? There are a lot of that Lord of the Rings stuff there too. The caging, I find that, there's a lot of entities. They're not ready to cross. They don't want to. And if they're wreaking havoc, they need to be caged until they're ready to cross.
Right, exactly. It's, if for some reason they like the spot. Now, what would be interesting to know is what was there before that and before that. Because remember, I told you one night I did go to that place years and years and years ago when we had this conversation. And I told you I had gone there to talk to the old owner, because obviously it's changed hands. I went in with somebody who was going to be part of Essex County and then got scared off when they took a picture in the cemetery and went, ah! I still talk to that person. We get along just fine and whatnot. It's cool. And I was driving home. Now, I don't drink at all. Anybody that knows me knows I'm going to have a soda that night. Now it's 0 sugar soda, but that night would have been just a soda. Okay? I'm driving back down the hill in the first road on the left-hand turn coming back towards Haverhill. I got a horse and buggy crossing the road. I'm like, yeah. Okay. I've talked about that in many different talks that I do, that horse and buggy thing, so it's not like it's a top secret. And I don't think it has anything to do with with that location, but it's just in the area of that location.
Are you asking me, do I think it's just in that location?
No, what I'm saying is that location in that whole area has got some nice, interesting activity.
Oh my God, it really does. It's quite powerful. Yeah, in fact, I have some video of doing one of the sessions or several sessions, but one of them, it was just pretty amazing. I've learned from this, you don't want to wear anything electronic on your chest. That, like, I had a speaker or a microphone, and I was doing downstairs in this one area that there's a huge portal, that there's a lot of congested and really what I call psychopathic energy. Some people would call it demonic. It's not. It's wounded souls, just a really wounded soul. And literally I'm talking, and my partner has the video on me, and when we went back to look, we could see this little orb just floating around all over the place, coming over to me and going right into my mic. And let me tell you, for the next 2 weeks, I was sick. I couldn't talk. I had to do so much clearing. I actually had to call one of my friends who does extractions and have them extract. And I'm like, wow, yeah, that's when I really realized the power of entities entering electronics and how it's amplified, which makes sense because we've got quartz crystals, right, in our electronics and such. It's just total amplification. Really, really amazing. It took me about 3 times to really get that entity crossed, actually. And we finally did.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. That's really great. However, it was really interesting to see that video and see it actually happen like that and have, like, evidence. I'm like, wow, that is what I felt.
Well, it's always pleasing to get the evidence when you felt something to back up what you felt, heard, seen, tasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and there are. Yeah, you can really smell different. There's a ghost there that you can smell. It's like a rose, and she's just like a guardian, like an angel, a high vibration being that hangs out there from the high vibration portal we created there, so that we made sure that all the energy coming in was high vibration spirit energy, cleansing all of the other entities that come in, because it is a portal, like you said, that triangle, and it's really powerful. It draws. It's a cleansing station, and I love the holding bin perspective from Ghostbusters. That's beautiful. Except it's clearing; they're not staying.
Right. Exactly. But hey, and that's what's important about this, is trying to figure things, especially for the clients, is to try to figure things out and what's the best way. Now, everybody has their own way of doing things, and you have to respect everybody's way of doing things.
Right.
Not everybody's going to agree with what the way people do, and that's what's great about this world, and that's what's great about this field.
Yep.
But you have to respect the way people do things. May not like it, may not agree, but respect is the biggest thing.
Right, exactly. Or, at least, like, it's kind of like if I don't like pickles and you do, I can't believe you like pickles. How can you like pickles, right? I mean, it's a personal preference and also a personal understanding. We all have a specific, unique path, so we're going to understand things differently. We'll all have our own nomenclature, so to speak, and what does that mean, and tools. And that's what's nice when we can come together and share the tools that we all learn from our experiences in life with others, and we can remove the ego out of that. then we can communicate and we can really find some great solutions and healing in this world.
Right, because there's a lot of people hurting because I believe this. Not everybody believes this, but I've done enough research on it. The poles are switching right now, and that's a lot of the reason why I believe we have a lot of this paranormal activity going on, and the bus station or the train station. So what I mean by the poles are switching, so here's the North Pole, and you got the South Pole. Sooner than later, the North Pole is going to become the South Pole, and the South Pole becomes the North Pole. But it's moving at a very slow rate. You're not going to see it, and I'm not going to see it. And most likely my niece, who's 11 years old, is probably not going to see it. We got some, we got some time, but the more it moves, the more the magnetic fields change, and you're ripping apart people who have already died, and they're coming back going, why am I being awoken?
That
They're
makes
dying
a
a
sense.
second death, basically. And that's why we're getting the amount of activity we're getting. And prior to COVID, when people were letting everybody in homes, the phones were ringing off the hook. And now, post-COVID, if you want to call this post-COVID, some people do, some people don't.
Right.
If you call this post-COVID, the phones still aren't ringing. And that's straight across the board, because I talk to a lot of different paranormal teams. They get in cases, but not like they used to. But there's more and more activity, because you can see it online. I mean, you probably involved, you love the paranormal just as much as a lot of my friends and I do. And we do this all the time. So we're on Facebook and we're on all these different pages, and you're probably on a few yourself, and you're seeing all this stuff. We're seeing more now than we ever have, because people are home more. There's still people working from home, even though COVID has, moved to the next level. There are still companies that haven't opened their doors yet and keeping employees at home because it's cheaper.
Right. Yeah, right.
And how's it cheaper for people sitting at home going, how's that cheaper? Yeah, you're still paying the employee their hourly salary, but you don't have to worry about the heat, the electricity, or the lease, or the rent on the building you own, or the air conditioner going, or the heating system going. You alleviate the bill. Okay, so you got to have a meeting once a month with your staff. So you find a small local hotel that's got a meeting room in it, and what do you pay? A couple $100, buy some food, and you get your staff meeting. It's still cheaper than having a huge building, unless you need one.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of, so more people are home, so they're seeing more. I don't think the spirit world has grown as much as people at home. They're paying more attention to things and they're seeing more.
Yeah, again, that makes a lot of sense. Why do you think they're not reaching out like they used to?
Because I don't think people want people in their homes as much, because some people are still scared of COVID. I mean, I kept Essex County open during COVID. We never shut down. In fact, we kept going out to a guy out in, the Berkshires. It was out in the Berks. We kept going because he needed our help. And then there were other issues going on besides the paranormal that were out of our range, more in your range of things, some medical stuff. We'll leave it at that. And, so he needed to get some help, and he got the help he needed, so I don't get the calls like I used to. He'd call me 8 to 10 times a day.
Wow.
So, he's got the help he needs, hopefully, and I haven't heard from the guy, so I'm assuming everything.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
But we stayed open. But I think I talk to people all the time, and the other thing, if I get a phone call and they go, and it doesn't matter, who it is, wife, husband, husband, it doesn't matter. So I get the phone call. The first thing I ask, do you charge now? Can you come and help me out? Yeah, well, you got the problem. I write everything down. They're like, well, I got to check with my husband, my partner, my wife. Then you never hear from them again.
Right, because the other person's like, what are you, crazy?
Right, exactly. So I think that's the other reason. Right. I think now that things are shaping up better and bigger events are coming back, I think the restaurant stuff will start coming back, because that's advertising for the restaurants. But and smaller venues will start coming back. We captured back the Tenny Gatehouse and a few other locations.
Right.
for our annual fundraisers every year that we have a whole list that we do. And
Cool.
that's what happens. That's what's happening out there. And it's just interesting. And it was interesting when I talked to you that you actually had that location in Plastow, because that's an interesting location.
I know, that is interesting, right? It's like, those things, it's, whenever I say, oh, well, that's weird, I think, oh, that's spirit guided. High vibration spirit guided.
I mean, what is weird? You could ask that question to 100 different people and you get 100 different answers.
Darn right. Yep,
Because
absolutely.
what's weird to you and I won't be weird to the general public, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I love it though when people say that, because generally speaking, whenever they say it's weird, they can't explain it and it's weird, and it's like, it's a spirit gift usually. It's like, it's not a bad thing. It's like, this is weird. Oh, what a strange coincidence. It's like, is it really though? Is it really? Maybe not.
No, it is interesting. It really is interesting at best.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do is, we're coming to the end of this show, sorry to say, but we are going to have you back on, and we'll trim the subject down a little bit more, because this was a broad subject tonight. It really was. But it got you out there, got our listeners to listen to who you are. We'll bring you back and we'll start talking about different subjects related to what you do, so we can go a little bit more in depth, so the public will get a great education on what you do. Because you have a very interesting bio when it comes to this field.
Oh, well, thanks. I'm really excited to be able to hopefully give like some tips, or, just even help people feel like they're not crazy. They're really not. And it's okay. It's kind of like, I call it coming out of the closet, your spiritual closet, because you're afraid to say to anybody, what you really feel or what's going on.
Right.
And that can be so isolating. So, it's a wonderful gift what you're doing and opening the door for people. And I really appreciate this opportunity.
The other thing we got to quickly touch on, I guess, is if you keep it closed, like you just said, it could hurt you personally, physically, mentally, but it also could tear apart families. There are many different marriages Essex County has saved through the years, because you've got both of them agreeing there's a problem in the house, and it's not them, it's a spirit that's egging them on.
Right. Wow, is that so true?
Yeah, and you've probably seen that in your travels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I work, actually, that's one of the things I do a lot with private sessions, and helping people to, clear that, clear the entities from them and themselves, and then learn the maintenance. Because once you are somebody that draws that, you're just you are a magnet. So if you have some tools so it doesn't wind up hurting you, then life gets easier.
That it does. That it does. But no, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. This was a great episode, a great show. You were great tonight, Patty. So thank you very, very much. And we'll be in contact real soon. I want to thank everybody who's listening in tonight. And just remember, and thank you, Patty. I just want to remember this. We got coming up, though, we do have a ghost hunt coming here, fundraiser at the haunted Lawrence Community Access TV station. We will be having our ghost hunts back at Hilldale. Maybe we can get Patty to come to one of those.
Ooh, that'd be wonderful.
And our ghost hunts over at the haunted Garrison House. Maybe we can get Patty to come to that, too.
Ah, yeah, that's an amazing place. We did a psychic fair there once. That was pretty interesting.
I bet it was.
Oh yeah. So it's wonderful. I love what you're doing, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight live in Lawrence and in Methuen, because we're on both community stations shown in Lawrence and Methuen. I want to thank everybody that tuned in on Facebook tonight, and thank you very much. We'll see you in the paranormal. This is the Crypt Keeper signing off. Good night, everybody.